Today, we're going to talk about how to use story in motion. So, why is it important to use motions to help us remember a story? I have found that because using motions, it creates a multisensory experience and it allows people to see and to feel the movement if they're doing it, but it also allows them to experience the story, which helps them then with their story recall. There's many benefits to getting up and using motion when we're trying to recall specifically a Bible story. It helps to refresh the mind and the brain. It awakens both sides of the brain. And it helps us as we're thinking through and recalling the story to remember our story map. It's a memory map. And the motion also creates a memory map. And so that makes it beneficial. And we want to do anything that can refresh our minds, especially if we struggle with story recall. So I'm going to give you a process that I use in creating my story in motions. And this is one way of doing it. It's not the only way. You can think through other ways that you might be interested in doing it. The first thing that I like to do is I like to listen and I like to read the story. And sometimes I might do this 2 times. Sometimes I might do it in different translations if I have that accessible to me in the language. Sometimes I might take the time to draw the story out. But every single time, what I will do is I will work to create in my mind scenes or divisions or chunks for the story. This helps me to divide it up and to see it in smaller parts. After I have listened and read the story so that I can create the divisions, I will then think through, are there certain actions in that division or scene that would make sense to make it the most important action? Or is there a principle that's a key principle in that scene that I need to focus in on? And I will keep that in my mind. Once I have those down for each scene, I will then think about that action and or word or phrase and wonder, is there a physical motion I could do with my body to help me remember that scene? So, for example, if I were telling 2 Kings 4, 1 through 7, the widow's oil story, which is my signature story, I typically divide it into 5 scenes. I have friends that do 3 and I have friends that do 4, but for me, I use 5. And the very first scene, it is the scene where the widow has the debt collectors coming to her house to take her sons as slaves because her husband, the prophet, has died. Now, I could use the phrase, the prophet of God died, as my memory cue for motion to help me to remember that story. Or I could use that the debt collectors have come to make her sons slaves. So I choose a key word or phrase, and then I will make that what is my motion for remembering that scene. Now, once I have done that for each of the scenes, I then will practice using the motion to tell just those short phrases to get the story in order. I then might practice with a friend. I don't know about you, but for me, I use my family, and I might tell my husband or my mom and my aunt and my dad. I practice with them. And once I feel that I have the scenes down with the motion, I can then recall the story easily. Sometimes someone might ask, what if you can't think of a motion? And sometimes that happens to me. Some motions or principles, I can't think of a motion, action or principle. I can't think of a motion that would work. So I often will refer to ASL, teaching English, teaching through motion for the deaf and sign community. I will go to them and look to see what motion they use. And that has been beneficial. But I have found that as I travel culturally, sometimes my motions won't work. And if that happens, I invite the community to create a motion that they feel will match how they would want to communicate it in their community. I hope this is helpful to you as you think about how to make a story in motion. I have several examples that you can go into the Tara Rai YouTube page and go into playlists, and there's Story in Motions playlist that you can look at different examples. Thank you. It's so important to be in the Word, to be with Jesus, so that we can be transformed. Shalom, y'all.